today. Fucking good. For the 다음에 또 올 일이 있으면은.
Hi guys, no one expected Stanford D2 to turn into utter chaos just because of two people. From the moment Taehyung stepped onto the stage, Jungkook was right by his side, watching his every move, following his every step, and staying close wherever he went. At first, fans thought it was just another concert interaction like every other night, but slowly, something felt different. Giant cameras throughout the stadium began to focus on the two of them. The big screens repeatedly showed the same moment. Jungkook silently observing Taehyung as if nothing else around him mattered. In an instant, the atmosphere of the stadium changed completely. The screams grew louder every time they stood side by side. Fans even began to look away from the main stage, waiting for every small moment between the two, hoping for another interaction to be captured on camera. Every brief glance, every tiny touch, even a faint smile from Taehyung could send the entire stadium into hysterics. The media seemed unable to shift their focus. The camera operators who were supposed to be recording the entire show kept returning to them every time their paths crossed. There was something too natural to ignore the way Jungkook always stayed close to Taehyung, and how Taehyung seemed to know Jungkook would be there before he even turned around. The thousands of people in the stadium could feel the shift in energy. What was supposed to be a grand BTS performance slowly transformed into a mysterious story unfolding in front of tens of thousands of eyes. Something no one truly understood, but everyone could feel it. As the night progressed, the atmosphere grew more and more emotional. Amidst the pounding music and spectacular choreography, the audience's attention remained drawn to the silent pauses between them. The small moments when Jungkook glanced at Taehyung without saying a word created a reaction even greater than the biggest stage effect of the night. Some fans in the front row even began crying before the song was over. The emotional tension in the air was too intense to be mere coincidence. When Taehyung moved casually across the stage and Jungkook immediately adjusted his direction without hesitation, the stadium erupted again. Thousands of voices united in spontaneous screams as if everyone had just witnessed something they weren't prepared for. On social media, the chaos spread in real time. Short clips of the two of them spread faster than the official concert performance video. Even those who weren't at Stanford D2 flooded their timelines, wondering why the camera couldn't seem to stop following Taehyung and Jungkook. Some noticed how Jungkook kept looking at Taehyung. Others were fixated on the way Taehyung responded so naturally to the closeness. The slightest interaction instantly became the biggest topic of the night. And as the concert drew to a close, the previously lighthearted energy slowly shifted to a much more emotional one, as if something unspoken but palpable was palpable to everyone. Then came the moment that truly brought the entire stadium to its breaking point. Under the floodlights, with thousands of phones already filming, Taehyung glanced briefly at Jungkook just as Jungkook stepped closer again without a moment's hesitation. The crowd's reaction was uncontrollable. The screams were so loud that the music was nearly drowned out by the sound of thousands of hysterical people. Some covered their mouths in disbelief. Others trembled as they tried to keep the camera steady. But what was most surprising wasn't the closeness itself. It was how natural it all seemed. There was no awkwardness, no hesitation, just a simple instinct to stay close to the entire stadium, which couldn't stop watching. Even after the concert was over, the atmosphere outside Stanford Stadium remained surreal. Many fans refused to go home. They stood in groups in the cold night, replaying clips that had just gone viral. Some cried, others screamed every time a new camera angle appeared online. The more footage circulated, the clearer the pattern became. Jungkook kept searching for Taehyung amidst the crowd on stage, and every time Taehyung moved, Jungkook's attention seemed to automatically follow. The media began to cover headlines not about the grandeur of the concert, but about the inexplicable emotional tension that gripped them whenever they were in the same frame. By morning, Stanford D2 had become one of the most talked about concert nights online. Activists men because of the fireworks, the stage setup, or any other major surprises. It was because millions couldn't stop talking about the mysterious aura that surrounded Taehyung and Jungkook throughout the night. And of all the replayed moments, it was the quietest clips that were most haunting, the moment they simply stood side by side, wordless, while the entire stadium lost control around them. But just as the main lights began to dim and most of the audience thought the night was truly over, something far more surprising happened. Amidst the usual closing atmosphere of final waves to fans, the attention of thousands of pairs of eyes was drawn back to a corner of the stage where Taehyung stood. He paused for a moment, gazing at the sea of army bomb lights still shimmering across the stadium. Then, without warning, Jungkook appeared beside him. There was no dramatic movement, no grandiose interaction, just a presence that felt too right to be coincidence. Within seconds, screams shook Stanford Stadium once again. Thousands of people immediately realized that even in the final seconds of the night, they had chosen to stand side by side. That's when the atmosphere shifted, becoming far more emotional than before. Taehyung turned slowly toward Jungkook, and for a split second the two simply stared at each other without a word. The large camera captured the moment clearly. The giant screen displayed an expression that was too calm amidst the hysterics of the thousands of spectators. There were no exaggerated smiles, none of their usual concert banter. Instead, there was a strange calm, as if a silent conversation were taking place between the two of them. The audience's reaction changed. The previously wild screams slowly mingled with the sounds of tears of emotion. Many fans admitted to feeling goosebumps at that brief glance, as something felt so personal that it silenced the entire stadium for a few seconds. The silence was broken when Jungkook reflexively moved a little closer, as if subconsciously closing the distance between them. The small movement would have been almost imperceptible if not for the camera focused directly on them. But precisely because it was so natural, the entire stadium immediately erupted again. Fans screamed hysterically, some hugging each other in disbelief. On social media, the few-second clip spread like wildfire. Within minutes, millions of online viewers began debating the meaning behind the simple gesture. Some called it an unintentional natural habit. Others believed the moment was too sincere to be just another stage interaction. What made it all the more unforgettable was Taehyung's reaction afterward. Instead of walking away or lightening the mood with a joke, he simply stood where he was, seemingly accepting the closeness. He even lowered his head with a faint smile, a small expression that sent the fans completely into a frenzy. The screams filled the stadium again, louder than before. Several fan cameras captured their hands trembling from too much emotion to remain steady. Even from a distance, Taehyung's subtle facial expression was clearly captured, something very rare to see, soft, calm, and almost fragile under the fading lights. The night felt more and more like a story, writing itself as the other members slowly began to move to the side of the stage for the final closing. In the chaos of the breakup, many thought Taekook's moment was over. But once again, attention was drawn to how Jungkook automatically adjusted his steps to keep pace with Taehyung. Not fast, not slow, their rhythm seemed to be mutually understood without any need for any cues.